Hi everyone, and welcome to my hero Cahoon guide. You can use this as the normal guide as well. There's only a few things that's changed. It's actually a lot easier than normal. So let's go ahead and look at the trait breakdown that I used as Vengeance. I used Abyssal Strike, Fallout, Flame Crash. These three are pretty much set in stone for the time being. I used Fracture. You could use Feed the Demon, but honestly, you're switching after 4 or 5 stacks, so you're plenty of time to recharge DS naturally with haste. So I'd prefer Fracture for this one. Sigil of Chains is not needed. You can just run concentrated sigils for this. And Spirit Bomb, and last here, honestly, I use Soul Barrier. I use it for almost everything. Last Resort's not bad either. If you prefer that, that'll work. It might be safer if you're learning the fight to use Last Resort. That's really it. Azurite, honestly, it just depends what you got. The best ones that you can use is Gem Hide if you have Gem Hide. So it just really depends on what gear you actually have at the moment. Trinkets wise, I used Fathoms and I used, I think in the first kill I used a 355 plumage. But right now I would use Gale Color's Boon, one of the better trinkets. Or a Golden Plumage as well. I just got a 370 this evening. So that's gear breakdown, nothing really fancy, just go with the highest item level. Enchant wise, I use Versatility and Haste for enchants and weapons. And then Haste and everything else. I need to get the higher haste enchants. Anyway, let's go ahead and look at the guide. Alright, so here we go. This is broken down into 3 phases. Phase 1 is the add phase. On Heroic and Normal, the add phase is kind of pointless. The big thing you need to remember in phase 1 is to simply keep the eyeball stocks interrupted and killed. The Dark Child, I want to say the name is, doesn't have to die. Assuming that your orb carriers do their job, and in phase 1 as a Vengeance DH or a Monk or a Warrior, you should be carrying orbs in phase 1. So basically how this is going to work out is my co-tank is going to pick up the Dark Child, and he's going to solo tank phase 1. You only need 1 tank. So my job is to just keep stuff interrupted, do a little damage, and carry the orb. So what you're going to see is he's going to pick up the Dark Child and he's going to bring it over here. It'll do a Dark Bargain, which increases damage done by 25% and damage received by 25%, or maybe it's 50. Anyways, you get a stack of that debuff. If you get 2, you get Mind Controlled, and then Heroic, you have to die. And Normal, you'll break the Mind Control if you go to like 50% health. So the idea is you'll bring this over on top of Ice Stocks, you'll do Dark Bargain, the Ice Stocks get the debuff, and then they die faster. So all I'm going to do
4, 3,
is just
2,
focus
1.
on these Ice Stocks. So do some damage, not a big deal, get some interrupts going. Oh, Dark Gun, not Dark Child. So here's the Dark Bargain. You can see the circle around the ad. You can just walk out of it. If you're the main tank, you can just walk out of it. Once he starts casting, he doesn't move. So it doesn't matter. Most of the time, the tank will pick it up just to do more damage. Keep in mind that Dark Gun will do a smash, and if you have the debuff, it will hurt. So if you're dying, don't stay in it. If you're not dying, do the damage. I should stay in it, but I'm gonna go do an orb, so it doesn't matter. So I'll go ahead and keep stuff interrupted. I know the first orb team should be done in a minute. Let's talk about this. The tank will always get one of these debuffs, and you're going to see it a lot. Our goal is to put it up against a wall, and these orbs will spawn from it. And if you get hit by the orb on Heroic, you get the debuff. So on Heroic, it's very important to spread out and dodge. On Normal, you can ignore it. It will do damage, but you don't get the debuff. Alright, so it's about time for me to go do the second orb. Alright, so we can solo these orbs. All you need is a Warlock Gate. So you see the Warlock Gate here, and the orb's going to spawn here. It always spawns on the right side second, the left side first. So it's left, right, left. Phase 2, left, right, left. So I'm going to go set myself up. Now, to solo this, is you want to put it away from this orb, or well, this pedestal. And you want to jump glide to it, and then instantly take the Warlock Gateway. So glide, go, and the assist will make you run slower, and if you do damage to him, it lowers the circle. But being vengeance, I can ignore all of it. So jump, jump, and that's it. And then you just put it in, you right click to put it in. And then I'm done. Now the third one will go. Phase 1 ends once you do third orb, so we're already 2/3 of the way done. So another idea though is if you cannot do it by yourself, so say you're a warrior that's doing this, and you can't get all the way there, you have a special action button that you can throw the orb to the next person. And the only thing I'm going to tell you about that is you don't throw it until somebody is standing in your circle. So just like stay there, don't move, throw them the orb. And once you put it in, you get a debuff. So now I have a 5-minute debuff and I can't do this again. So basically it makes me able to only do one of these per fight. So I'm going to jump down and just focus on killing stuff and silencing stuff. The residual silence over there just to keep stuff interrupted. You don't have to kill any of these. Well, not completely true. You want to kill as many ice stacks as you can. And then you have this big ad that spawns, and it has to be interrupted the entire time. You don't have to kill it, but you need it interrupted. And I'll tell you, the easiest, to make this fight easier, you have to do the orbs. If your orb group is on par, or like on point, this becomes really easy. So the third one's going now. Oh, here's the debuff, by the way. So you have 3 seconds to move, you get to a wall, you drop it, and then you get out of it. So once the third orb is in, it starts the reorigination blast, and it kills everything. So it doesn't matter what's alive, it's all going to die right now. And then we're going to group up at triangle. So everything just dies. So this part of the fight, we split the raid up. Half the raid's here, half the raid's here. On normal, it doesn't matter. On heroic, it does. Because everything is going to, and I'll show you here in a second. If you get hit by the balls, you get the debuff, and it just goes out of control. And there's a AoE blast that goes out, and if you're 5 yards near people, you will spread it. So half the raid on one side, the other half on the other, and spread out. So I think it's like 24 seconds. Alright, so the next phase begins. To get out of phase 2, you have to put 3 orbs in again. Now, phase 3 starts at 20%. And that blast that you just saw is going to do a ton of damage to him. But you need to make sure when you use the blast, you actually push him to 20%. So you have to do 3 feasts and then push, which you'll see here in a second. I'm going to start tanking. You want to spread out at least 5 yards apart. Every time he hits me or swings, he gets a debuff. Or he gets a buff, I'm sorry. So it's a buff on him and not a debuff. So it's a buff on him. You can see it right here. So at 4 or 5, you want the off tank to taunt. So he taunts, I get the debuff, I jump out, I drop it. And seeing as I'm a demon hunter, I'm doing this. Basically, I'm going to have the debuff every time I jump out and I fly back, because I don't want to waste my jumps to come back. Now here's the ability I was talking about. This wave is going to come out and hit everybody. And if you're next to somebody else, you're both going to take an extra stack. So if there's 4 of you, you get 4 stacks and you're going to die. So it goes out and it puts a debuff on you that is on you infinitely until either you die, he dies, or a feast happens, which you're going to see here shortly. So it's going to go AoE, AoE, feast. So he's at 5, I'm going to taunt the boss. I'm going to get the debuff. He's going to taunt, I'm going to jump back out. And this is why I have a really bad parse on this fight, because I'm spending most of the time just jumping out. Alright, so 2 stacks. So next thing he's going to do is a feast when he's at 100 energy. So I'm going to taunt at 5. You're going to wait until this debuff goes out. And then you're going to see a feast right here. We all stack up ahead of time. That way we can bait it, because it goes on one person and that person gets rooted. So we know where it's coming if we all stack up ahead of time. So you spread, spread, stack, spread, spread. So right after feast, you have to spread out. So everybody should stand in the first feast, and this will remove your debuffs and dodge the balls. Alright, so what's going to happen is once the feast explodes, there it goes, it spawns an ad. The amount of feast or amount of debuffs it eats, the more HP and more damage it does. So you want to keep your stacks low, that way when the ad spawns, it's easier to kill. So it's going to spawn, it's going to get misdirected to the co-tank who's not running out. So he has to taunt the boss, he can't taunt the ad. So that this gets misdirected. I jump out with a debuff, he taunts the boss. And then this first ad, everybody has to kill it. Now, melee, if you're melee heavy, like we were prior to this, you don't want to rush it. Because of this, you have to spread out for the debuff, the wave that's coming in a second. So all range should be killing it, and only a few melee that's close enough should kill it. He hit me, but I didn't get a second stack, which is weird. So I only taunt the boss, I never touch the ad. It does a debuff that will interrupt anybody that's casting and lock you out of that spell type, so it has to die.
Run away, little girl. Run away.
So this just repeats. The second wave is coming in now. There it is. Now we know the next thing, like right now, we know there's no more waves. That I tell everybody to stack and kill the ad. So all melee should be collapsing on the ad now to kill it and stack up for the second feast. Alright, so the ad's dead. And now the second feast is coming out. Now, it's imperative everybody gets in this. And if you look at everybody's debuffs here, once this goes off, it'll be gone.
Run away, little girl.
I jumped out way too early, I messed up. But, so the ad's gonna spawn. And the second ad, you don't touch it. DPS doesn't touch it. You just burn the boss. Ignore this ad. At this point, and let me just take a step back. Once this phase 2 begins, orb group 1 went, put in the orb. Orb group 2 went and put in the orb. And then we waited on the third orb. If you see here, we have 70% on the re-origination drive. We need 3 orbs. So after the second ad spawns, our third group, which is Sacred by himself soloing it, he's now going up to prime the next orb. So he's going to get the orb and stand next to the drive, but he is not going to put it in until after the next feast. So ignore this ad and just DPS the boss.
Run away, little girl. Run away, little girl. Run away.
I got hit by somebody else's there. That was bad of me. Alright, there's the first wave. Remember, it's 2 waves. Emerlin has 6 stacks of the debuffs for some reason. Here comes the second wave. Say spread. I'm sorry, here's the feast. Alright, so here's the phase 3 transition. This is the third feast. Everybody must be in here. After this, there is no more dropping of the debuff. So you have to lose your debuff here. So we all group up for the feast. And then once the feast goes off. So remember, Sacred is standing next to the drive right now. And as soon as this ad spawns, he's sticking the orbit. So wait for it. There's the ad. And then he's going to stick the orb in. And now this blast will kill all ads that are alive. So these 2 ads, we didn't have to touch. They're all going to die. Now nobody has... Denius missed it. And the co-tank missed it. So we have 2 people who messed up. So at this point, nobody should have any debuffs. And both ads are dying, and we bloodlust. Now we have to get him to 20% to start phase 3. So watch his life here because of this this blast. He also takes double damage at this point. That's why we bloodlust here. You gotta dodge the orbs. People are being bad and getting hit by the orbs. So he's taking double damage. We're gonna let him up. But every time that blast goes off, it takes away like 10% of his HP. Oh, just a heads up, you cannot get another blast in phase 2. This is it. Only when you get this. This is why we waited to put in the third orb, because we want him at 20%. There we are. So phase 3 starting. Ceiling's collapsing, and that's it. So basically, the ceiling has a giant circle that does fall off damage. So you just gotta look for it and stay way away from it. So there it is. We're just gonna stay way away from it. He is immune to damage right now, so we can't hit him. So I keep looking at these circles. Somebody does something really stupid, runs into that circle and dies. Alright, so at this point we're switching at 4 and 5. There's only one debuff that goes out. There are no adds. This is actually an easier phase in Heroic. All you gotta do is taunt 5, and then there is a dodge, turn around. So if you look at these giant pus packs, they're spawning now. So you want to go to the open area, and if these explode and you get hit, you get one shot. So I see the open areas here. I'm gonna move into it, and then we're gonna spread out. Actually, I'm gonna jump over here for some reason. So wherever these explode, we need to go over after they explode. Looks like I wanted to go left. So it's dodge,
Beware.
and then you turn around. If you don't turn around, you get feared. Like that person over there. And that's it. That's the entire phase 3. Every turnaround phase, there is a debuff, so everybody keeps getting a stack of debuffs that we can't drop. So it's dodge. And we're going to dodge again. Stay spread out for the debuff.
Beware.
And then we're going to turn around. And then rinse and repeat until he's dead. This is basically an attrition phase. I think Crip got one shot by one of the pus packs. Danius has 5 stacks, so he's going to die probably pretty quickly. He's got one shot by one of the pus packs.
Beware.
Just turn around. Dodge, turn. I think this goes to hell here in a second, if I remember correctly.
Beware.
Gotta keep dodging the orbs. And
Beware.
that's really it, guys. This fight, the hardest part about this fight is, first off, getting people used to running the orbs,
Beware.
spreading out in phase 2 so you don't make mistakes, and killing the ads. That's the only thing that's hard about this fight. And that's a kill, guys. So yeah, the only thing here to finish this up, I canceled to stop the video. At normal, there is no pus packs, and you don't have to spread out. It's a million times easier. You just turn, TPS, turn, and that's it. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments, and thank you for watching.